Because it was hot.
Sorry, Mike.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Please have a seat.
Hare Krishna. Didn't expect that. We need one sheet. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa Parudikacharya Ashtotar Tadashi Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Astotar the Shishi Man of Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnavini ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, so we are going to be reading from text number 39 on page 105, 105 at the top. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, before we begin, can we lift that off the floor? Let's put it on that. Yeah, the sacred words. Yeah, we're not keeping them on the floor. That's all. Just you can put it on the underneath the book. That's it. Thank you. So, on this 8th day of January, 2019, in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 2, text 39, chapter is entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, at the top of page 105. Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shunu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shunu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shunu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Marcy track. Esha te bihita sankye buddhir yoge tvimam shvinu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Tapasya try. Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shvinu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Rami, you want to try?
What page is it?
We're at the top of page 105. Esha te. Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shunu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Gentlemen, you want to try? Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shvinu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Try. Esha te bihita sankye buddhi yoge tvimam shunu buddhya yukto yaya parta karma bandham prahasyasi. Okay, I'm going to read the word by word meanings myself and then we'll go through the translation and purport. Esha, all this, te, unto you, abhihita, described, sankye, in analytical study, buddhi, intelligence, yogi, in work without fruitive result. Two, but, imam, this, shrinu, just here. Buddhya, by intelligence, yuktaha, dovetail. Yaya, by which partha, O son of Pritha. Karma bandham, bondage of reaction, prahastasi, you can be released from. Translation, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. Purport. According to the Nirukti, or the Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at a sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And Krishna explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future, because all of us are individuals, souls, eternally. We simply change our bodily dress in different manners, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna, and this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of the Nirukti dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with the Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila's Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother, Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purusha, or the Supreme Lord, is active, and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over the Prakriti, or nature, and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, and under the spell of material energy. They are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last snare of Maya, or sense gratificatory illusion, and it is only after many, many births of such sense gratificatory activities that a great soul surrenders unto Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering himself unto him. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam papannam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working process in Buddhi Yoga, or Karma Yoga, or in other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains to this stage of Buddhi Yoga, or by the special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love does he award the pure knowledge of devotion and love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever-blissful kingdom of God. Thus, the Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord, and the word Sankhya mentioned herein has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga enunciated by the impostor Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that the Sankhya Yoga mentioned herein has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya. Nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time, nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but even that Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topics. Here, Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna's Sankhya and Lord Kapila's Sankhya, as described in the Bhagavatam, are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Sankhya Yoga pratak bhala pravadanti na pandita. Of course, atheistic Sankhya Yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga, yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore understand that Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself, without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification for achieving results in terms of family or material happiness. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of the work that we perform. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this second chapter, which is said to be the contents of the Gita summarized, has some very distinct sections in it. At the beginning of this chapter is more or less a continuation of chapter 1, in which Krishna is trying to encourage Arjuna to fight in the battle, but Arjuna continues to refuse. And he eventually, in text 7, he surrenders to Krishna as his guru. In the first chapter, they're on the level of friends. Krishna has actually taken the role of Arjuna's chariot driver. Krishna is the Lord of all, the master of everyone, and yet he's taken the role of a servant here, which is quite remarkable. But Arjuna knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, even though he's a friend, and he's uneasy about his decision to give up the battle. Arjuna is in a position where he's the foremost warrior, he's the leader of the side of virtue, which is going to reinstate the Pandavas on the throne, specifically Yudhishthira, who's virtue personified. Arjuna has already achieved so much in terms of conquering. It's remarked in one of the purports how he actually fought Lord Shiva and conquered Lord Shiva, and Shiva gave him a special weapon. So, but now suddenly Arjuna is paralyzed on this battlefield because he sees on the other side his worshipable guru, his military guru, Dronacharya. He sees his grandfather, the Bhishma Dev, and so many friends and relatives. So he's suddenly paralyzed. He can't fight. He doesn't want to be responsible for their deaths of these dear souls. But he knows it's the right thing to do. So on one side is Dharma, so to speak, that he really knows he should do. And the other side is his heart. And in one sense, he's representing all of us. Because there's so many times we're confronted with the right thing to do, but our heart isn't in it. We're pulling away this way. So our head and our heart are fighting against each other. So in his kind of paralysis and his existential dilemma and quandary, he surrenders to Krishna as his guru rather than a friend. So the whole relationship changes. This is in text number 7. He says, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prachamidvam dharma samuda cheta yakshe yaksyanishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham sharimam tvam papannam. This word papanna is very important. It means surrender. You surrender your will unto the guru and you put yourself in charge as a disciple. So he's saying there, by this miserly weakness, my natural qualities of Kshatriya qualities have been covered. I've lost them. Karpanya dosho apahata swabhava. Swabhava means my natural, my nature as a powerful fighter has been confused and covered now. Pritchamidam dharma samudacheta. I'm bewildered about what real dharma is, which is something that all of us should be concerned about. To understand what is real dharma and to follow that dharma as human beings. We are, in one sense, we have a lot in common with the lower animals. Aharanidna bhayamaitanangcha. This is in the book called the Hitopadesh. Instructions for the benefit of the people. That's what Hitopadesh means. So this verse says, Ahara nidra bhayamaitanangcha samanyametat pashabhi naranam. Human beings and animals share these four things: eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing. We all do that. The animals, they eat, they sleep, they certainly mate, and they're afraid in so many ways. They have either fight or flight, they say. The dog has its little defenses, the cat has its little defenses, right? The bird basically flies away, is just afraid in most cases. Every animal has some way of trying to ward off danger. And we have our big defense establishment and millions of guns and so many ways that we try to defend. So what's the difference? You know, just because we have big guns and nuclear bombs doesn't mean that it's any different essentially than the dogs with their claws and their teeth. They're also defending. They're also sleeping. So this verse says, Dharma huitesha madiko vishesha, that for human beings the distinguishing factor is that we practice Dharma. Meaning that we don't always follow our whims, what our emotion is telling. We have a higher intelligence to do what is right and to restrain the senses and act in this way and so forth like that. So then the question is, what is real Dharma? And that's what Arjuna was concerned about. Because he knew that if he followed real Dharma, he would achieve Shreya. Shreya means the ultimate good, as opposed to prayas. Shreyas and prayas. Prayas is the immediate, what we perceive as the immediate pleasurable thing to do, you see. And Shreyas is the ultimate good. Now, even on a material level, we experience this to some degree. Why go to college? Why spend so much time and effort and money to go to college? Because you know that even though it's difficult, there's so many things, you know, studying and not, you know, playing around, at the end, you'll have a degree, you'll have more security in your life, it's a better thing. The ultimate is the Shreyas. But that Shreyas is not what we call Niksheyasa. The ultimate good for the human being, for the soul, is to break free from the bondage of birth and death and to return to our original position in the kingdom of God. It's described, Satchidananda life, eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. This is our birthright. This is where we came from. We've lost that. And we're identifying now on this material plane with the material body and relationships on the material plane. Means that we completely forgot our nature as eternal, blissful souls. We're trying to recapture that through matter, but we're failing. Because you cannot achieve any eternal platform on the material level. Everything is temporary, beginning with this body. So Krishna is trying to bring Arjuna off the material platform, and that's why the first lesson is all about the soul, distinguishing the self, the Atma, the soul, from the body. And I would say, you know, the prime verse within the first 20 verses of instruction, beginning in text 11, na jayate mriyate va kadachan nayam bhut va bhavita va nabuya ajo nitya shashvatam yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Prabhupada would always quote this verse. For the soul there is never birth nor death at any time. He does not come into being, is not coming into being, will not come into being. We all are as eternal as Krishna. Ajo nitya, we're unborn, eternal, ever-existing, primeval. We are not slain when the body is slain. You can say somehow or other when the body dies, it's slain, even old age, disease, or some accident, whatever it is. Eventually it goes. But we don't die. As I made a little verse out of it. It says, everybody dies, nobody dies. Everybody dies, get it? Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. It's all right there. Now, but to live that truth is not so easy because we're so conditioned to respond on the bodily platform. So we need a process of yoga, buddhi yoga, bhakti yoga. Use our intelligence. This is a distinguishing factor between animals and human beings. We have a superior intelligence. We don't have to be just moved by instinct in the senses. Now, let's go to this verse. So Krishna has this second section here, we read, beginning in text 31, had to do with Swadharma. Because Arjuna's Swadharma, the activity that complements his psychophysical nature, he was by nature a Kshatriya. He was very powerful, he was very charismatic, and he loved to fight. He was built for that. So he was ready to give that Swadharma up and go and be a sannyasi in the forest, a yogi. It wasn't natural for him. When Krishna will describe the process in the 6th chapter, how you have to go to alone, just visualize, the Himalayas, everyone knows Hardwar, it's all very cold and in there's caves, and you go alone there and you sit and you're very austere, practice pranayama. He mentions all this, think back in straight line, and then control that mind. You have to grab the mind, and place it on Krishna in the heart. How can you do it? How many are ready to do that? Very few, and those who try it often fail. So Arjuna says, I don't think I can do it. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi balabhadraham tasyaham dagaham manye vayu suduskaram. The mind is chanchala, it's going everywhere. Haven't you noticed? You try to control it, it's compared to a bee, to a horse, wild horse, or in this case to the wind, and not just any wind, but like a hurricane wind. You can't control it. It's very powerful and very pramati and obstinate. So Arjuna is saying, I don't think I can do it. So Krishna says, it's difficult, but you can do it by practice, by discipline and practice. Okay, so he describes the practice, and Arjuna says, well, what if I fail? What happens? I'll give up my life as a Kshatriya, I'll go off to the Himalayas, but I won't. I've already given this life up, then I fail in this life. I'm like a riven cloud. I don't have any standing. What then? And Krishna says, don't worry. In your next life, you'll begin where you left off. You'll be born in a family of yogis or a wealthy family, pious family, and start again. So the ultimate conclusion of the 6th chapter basically is, if Arjuna is pleading he can't do it, what about us? Because we have to become yogis. Even in our everyday life, we have to become yogis. Otherwise, we're at the mercy of our uncontrolled mind and our conditioning. And we're sure to be dragged down by our reactions to our karma. And at least we're going to be, another round, another term in the prison house here to suffer old age, disease, and death and birth. Not good. We should really keep that as something, as an impetus for spiritual life. Krishna says, 13th chapter, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Jari, Dukkha, Dosh, Anudarshanam. One of the elements of knowledge is to be aware, keep in mind, the evils of birth, old age, disease, and death. This is inevitable for all. So much of our life is trying to forget that, put it out of the mind. But we shouldn't put it in the mind, we should keep it in front. It should be an impetus to strive in devotional service. So back to the verse in hand. So here, Krishna is introducing this term, Sankhya. Sankhya simply refers to what he did in what Krishna explained in text 11 to 30. 20 lessons on the soul, analyzing the difference between spirit and matter. This is always step one in our quest for enlightenment. We have to understand who we really are. And the first thing is you're a spirit, not matter. I remember when we walk in the temple, this was classic, and we would tell it. And soon after you learn, the first phrase you learn, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahma, I am spirit. Or as we would say, colloquially, you're not that body, Prabhu. You're spirit soul. And so that changes the whole calculation. If you're working for your eternal life rather than just for your next 20, 30 years, that changes everything. So, Buddhi Yogi, then this phrase, Buddhi Yogi, which means basically using one's intelligence to link up to Krishna through the activities of one's mind and senses and everything. It's another way of saying bhakti yoga, because the intelligence has to be involved in controlling the lower self. This comes up in the next chapter at the end. It says, "Evam buddhi puram buddhastam," that understanding by your intelligence that you, the soul, are transcendental even to the intelligence, control the lower self by the higher self, and stay connected to Krishna, and conquer over the enemy. Who is our arch enemy? Bhakta Zachary? Kama, lust, material desire, which covers our knowledge and keeps us bound to the senses and the sensual activity. So, buddhi yogi, buddhya yukta yapata karma bandha brahasasi. So we need to recognize that we're kind of being controlled or bound by reactions to activities that we've done in previous life or in this life. Even in this life, we can see if someone gets into trouble and gets into drugs, for instance, then you can see that it can color or affect them their whole lives, because I'm just out partying, I'm doing and you drink too much and you get this. We had an incident here. I've been here for 30 years, right out here on the corner of Hornblende and Grand Avenue. I remember. This used to be even more of a party town than it is now. Maybe it's the times, I don't know. But we used to have more parties going on, Basically, you notice there aren't that many kids around. It's all like young people, But anyway, so what happened was there was a party right on the corner, and one girl was, drunk, and she walked out into the street and boom, she got hit by a car and killed. She got knocked, I didn't see it, but it was obvious what happened. She got hit hard and then flying through the air and hit the tree in the corner, on the corner there. And her friends, they were broke. It was a horrible experience. But they had a memorial there. They had kinds of flower garlands and her name and everything. I think some pictures at first, and gradually, it went away. And she was just like, you don't, whoa. Spontaneous. Can you do something? There's maybe more entities in this room than we can see. So in other words, it happened like that. And, instant karma. She was intoxicated and wasn't careful, and boom, like that. And we had an incident actually in Alachua. One of our longtime devotees from the 70s, I knew him well, I visit there twice a year. He was on his motorcycle. It wasn't his fault. This big truck pulls out right in front of him. He knocks in and he gets killed and lost. But, you have to prepare for that. You never know when it's going to happen. So assumedly that he was intelligent enough, especially on those motorcycles, which are inherently dangerous, to be chanting Hare Krishna while you're going. We hope. He was actually a very Krishna conscious devotee, so hopefully he's. But the point is that karma bandha prahasasi. We want to get free from the bondage of our previous activities. And the only way to do that is by practicing Krishna consciousness. By chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. It's a blessing of Krishna, because this Krishna has infused his name with all of his energies. And it's said in so many places in the Shastra that you're free from so many karmic reactions. You don't even know. These things are like, they unspool themselves during your life at a certain time. We don't know the reactions. We have no idea what's in store. But as soon as you chant, your whole destiny is changed. And you can actually remain free. There's a very dramatic verse in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma's song at the beginning of the universe, where he describes Yes Tvindra Gopamata Vendra Mahosva Karma Bandhanurupa Palabhajana Matanoti. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. And he says there that from Lord Indra, the Lord of the heavens, very powerful demigod, down to the little germ, which is called Indra Gopa. There's an Indra Gopa, so you have this Indra and that Indra. All are bound by their karmic reactions. Ahos karma bandhana rupa. You can hear karma bandha, palabhajana matanoti, and they're getting their fruits In other words, bitter or sweet. If you do good karma, you'll get, if you're good at good activities, pious activities, you'll get good karma. But in this age, nobody even knows you're performing so many sinful activities. Just you walk into Ralph's, you go to the back there, you get your steaks and your bacon, you go home and you cook breakfast. You just, you're responsible for partially responsible for the death of those poor cows and pigs that you just ate. Hundreds of times, millions of times it's going on. All of that has to be paid for. There's no free lunch, so to speak. So here, he's saying, but for those individuals who are practicing a serious bhakti, nirdhati kinta bhakti bhajam, karmani nirdhati. Nirdhati means totally burned up. This is like a seed. You plant a seed, either a seed of an auspicious plant or a seed of a bitter weed. That's your bad karma. This is your good karma. And eventually you experience the fruit. The fruit can be very sweet, means that you get good karma, you get good birth or whatever. But in this age especially, you get very bitter fruit. Suffering like anything. But here it says, nirdhati means it's totally burned up. The seeds are burned, they cannot fructify. For those who are worshipping Lord Govinda with full heart. So that's how it says, karma bandha prahasasi. You can be released from the bondage of your reactions by practicing this bhakti yoga. And that's what's going to be told here. Now in this long purport, basically Prabhupada is talking, for one thing, he distinguishes this Sankhya from the atheistic Sankhya. In the third canto, we're going to be studying, we've already studied actually in the class, the teachings of Lord Kapila Dev to his mother. Very illuminating. And the Bhagavatam, it really has nothing there but bhakti. The ultimate lesson is bhakti. But if Kapila Dev teaches, he's teaching his mother, but it's way back in the Satya Yuga. So he's teaching her a process of meditation on the Lord in the heart. Very beautiful description there. But the basic message is bhakti yoga. So to analyze this world, and it divides, we have so many senses, and there are so many divisions of the material energy: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, progressively more subtle. These are all the building blocks that Mother Nature uses under the direction of Krishna to build this world and all the bodies in it. And how does it take place? By Lord Brahma, who is the most intelligent being. He's got 4 heads, and he lives for 300 trillion years. And he engineers this whole universe. There's an intelligence behind it, but there's also an intelligence behind Brahma. So the whole thing is, there's no angstrom unit, there's no atom where Krishna is not present. It says that the Lord, through the super soul, is present even in all of the atoms, sustaining everything. So there's intelligence everywhere. That's why it says Buddha Yoga. When we link our intelligence to the intelligence of the Lord, through books like Bhagavad Gita, then we're really on the auspicious path, out of this material world. We're making progress. We may not go all the way out. We may not complete the process in this one lifetime, but nothing is lost. That's coming up in is it the next verse? Next verse. In this endeavor of Krishna consciousness, there's no loss and no diminution. However far you go in this one life, you begin there in the next life. Where do you find that on the material plane? You may make yourself $1 billion or more in this life, but it's all left behind. And whatever you had to do to make that $1 billion, you probably stepped on some toes, so you have some bad karma. You very well may even lose the human form of life. But a bhakta even begins a little bit, just sitting in Bhagavad Gita class one night and hearing Bhagavad Gita as it is, you're going to be a human being in your next life. How else are you going to come to class next time? You got to be a human being, right? So how auspicious this is you won the lottery, You may win $250 million, but it doesn't solve your problem. You got to leave that money here when you go. So anyway, the Prabhupada spends a good amount of time debunking the atheistic Sankhya, which is more or less like material science. They also analyze, but it's all for material ends. They never get to the point of understanding the spirit. They may analyze all the different, how many different elements are there? I forget, 110, 112, for manipulating, for material purposes. But that doesn't get the 1 angstrom unit closer to getting free from the bondage of karma. Because it's all, just like it's said in the 16th chapter. I mean, astrophysics and the nuclear physics, very complicated. I could never figure it out, nor do I want to. But what's the ultimate goal? Okay, blowing up the bomb and killing so many people, or trying to harness it, for electricity. Great. Then you're getting up with Fukushima. They've contaminated the entire Pacific Ocean. I'm not going to go in that ocean. I already wasn't going in. There's radioactive waste pouring in there now for 7 years. And gradually, it's going everywhere. I mean, they measured it, It's what they call ugra karma. It's simply for material things, manipulating the material energy. And have you noticed there's no butterflies anymore? They've killed them all because of the pollution and the carbon in the whole thing. It's just lost the butterflies. And many other insects as well. There's an insect apocalypse going on. So nature always wins in the end. We try to manipulate here and there and perform, but it never works out. So, following this path of Sankhya, understanding the difference between matter and spirit, using our intelligence, getting instructions from Krishna and his representatives, we can act in this world. We live nicely, but we do so in a way that doesn't bind us to this world. But with every step and every day, we get freer and freer, and we become more and more enlightened in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that's text 39, and we should at least read text 40, unless there's some questions on this. Text 40 is a very significant verse, and it has a fairly short purport. All right, text 40. Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayo navidyate svopamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advance on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So the endeavor is Buddhi Yoga, Karma Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga in simple terms. Purport: activity in Krishna consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. A Jamil performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of the Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Let's see if we can do it. I'll do line by line. Jaktva swadharmam chadanam bhujang harer bhajan apakvo tapate tato yadi yatra kvava bhadramabudamushchikim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or, as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gain the whole world yet suffer the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body. But work in Krishna consciousness carries the person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmin or in a rich aristocratic family that will give one a further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. So again, we've read an important verse at the end, which we don't really have time to expound upon. So we'll do 40 again tomorrow. Okay, Marcy? Remember, I'll put in the marker here. And you're all invited to come again tomorrow, if you like. But now, we're going to read a little bit from Krishna book, which is Srila Prabhupada's summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are in the middle of the chapter on the birth of Krishna. Let's see. Yes. So the baby has been born. Krishna has appeared now in the dungeon of Kamsa. Not an ordinary baby. He's a little child with a miniature Vishnu. He's got the club, the disc, the lotus flower on his hands, and he's all decorated like this. Very unusual birth. So Vasudeva, the father, who is also called Anakadundabi, I'm reading here, was looking at his newborn baby. When he was doing so, he was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmins. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy the king gives many things in charity. Cows decorated with golden ornaments are delivered to the Brahmins and sages. Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance, but because he was shackled within the walls of Kamsa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within his mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmins. And finally, when he was freed, 15 years later, when Krishna killed Kamsa, Vasudeva was free, and he actually gave those cows that he'd given in his mind. He physically gave them. When Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. At that time, Vasudeva was in the transcendental position, and he became completely free from all fear of Kamsa. The newborn baby was also flashing his effulgence within the room in which he appeared. Vasudeva then began to offer his prayers. My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities, and the absolute truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form, which is directly perceived by us. I understand that because I'm afraid of Kamsa, you've appeared just to deliver me from that fear. You don't belong to this material world. You're the same person who brings about the cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature. Close quote. Prabhupada explains, one may argue that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his glance, cannot come within the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. To eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, My dear Lord, it's not a very wonderful thing that you've appeared within the womb of Devaki, because the creation was also made in that way. You were lying in the causal ocean as Mahavishnu, and by your breathing process, innumerable universes came into existence. Then you enter into each of the universes as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. Then again you expanded yourself as Chirodakashaya Vishnu, and entered into the hearts of all living entities, and even within the atoms. Therefore your entrance into the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You appear to have entered, but you're simultaneously all-pervading. We can understand your entrance and non-entrance from material examples. The total material energy remains intact even after being divided into 16 elements. The material body is nothing but the combination of the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Whenever there is a material body, it appears that such elements are newly created, but actually the elements are always existing outside the body. Similarly, although you've appeared as a child in the womb of Devaki, you're also existing outside. You're always in your abode, but still you can simultaneously expand yourself into millions of forms. One has to understand your appearance with great intelligence, because the material energy is also emanating from you. You're the original source of the material energy, just as the sun is the source of the sunshine. The sunshine can't cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy, being an emanation from you, cover you. You appear to be in the 3 modes of nature, but actually the 3 modes of material energy cannot cover you. This is understood by the highly intelligent philosophers. In other words, although you appear to be within the material energy, you're never covered by it. Close quote. Prabhupada says, we hear from the Vedic version that the Supreme Brahman exhibits his effulgence and therefore everything becomes illuminated. We can understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Brahma Jyoti, the Brahman effulgence, emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord. And from the Brahman effulgence, all creation takes place. It's also stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is the support of the Brahman effulgence. Therefore, originally he is the root cause of everything. But persons who are less intelligent think that when the Supreme Lord comes within this material world, he accepts the material qualities. Such conclusions are not very mature, but are made by the less intelligent. The Supreme Lord is directly and indirectly existing everywhere. He's outside this material creation, and he's also within it. He is within this material creation not only as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he's also within the atom. The existence of the atom is due to his presence. Nothing can be separated from his existence. In the Vedic injunctions, we find that the Supreme Soul, the root cause of everything, has to be searched out, because nothing exists independently of the Supreme Soul. Therefore, the material manifestation is also a transformation of his potency. Both inert matter and the living force, the soul, are emanations from him. Only the foolish conclude that when the Supreme Lord appears, he accepts the conditions of matter. Even if he appears to have accepted a material body, he is still not subjected to any material condition. Krishna has therefore appeared and defeated all imperfect conclusions about the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now Vasudeva continues, my Lord, your appearance, existence, and disappearance are beyond the influence of the material qualities. Because your Lordship is the Supreme Brahman and the controller of everything, there is nothing inconceivable or contradictory in you. As you have said, material nature works under your superintendence, just like a government officer working under the orders of the chief executive. The influence of subordinate activities cannot affect you. Since you are the Supreme Brahman, everything is existing within you, and since all the activities of material nature are controlled by your Lordship, none of these activities affect you. So we'll begin there tomorrow, but before we adjourn, we'll have a little poem, something really sweet. The sweetest. Maduram maduram vapodasya vibho maduram maduram vadanam maduram madugandhi madhusmitame tadaho. Maduram 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 maduram. Sweet, sweet is my dear Lord's form. Sweet is still his face so fair, but his honey-scented gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. With lovely peacock plume upon his head, and fragrant flower placed upon each ear, he enters Braj's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows, and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day with cowherd friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. And on that sweet note, we'll prepare for the Artik. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. Samashtaye Padapallava Prabham. What happened to Usha? Couldn't make it today? No. She's not in the back doing the garlands? Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Paramahansa, Bhagavad-gita, Ashtottara Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnu Bhad Paramahansa, Bhagavad-gita, Ashtottara Sri Srimad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem to behold Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur, Bhaktivinoda Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Ganga Mahi Ki Jai, Yamuna Mahi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glory to the Assembled devotees. All glory to the Assembled devotees. All glory to the Assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Valadhara Dayine Hiranyakashipo Vakshaha Ashilatankanatavare Hipon Sringaparton Sringo Yato yato yantato natinha Bahim tingo rindae tingo Nirsinha madhim charanam prapade Gavagaratamavare Nakamagutta Singha Andalitare Vandakashipu Tanam Breda Krishna Bhagavada Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Saravamara Vakarakamalare Yakamagutta Singha Andalitare Vandakashipu Dharambeka Krishna Vandita Hari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Samalavare Gita Jai
Which company are you working?
Raghu, please take some shot. We have milk and some tea here. Yeah, take it.
Yeah, I came
No, here.
from Bhagavad.
Any more?
It's
okay?
No, okay.
Let me just give you one food. How about a little milk? Any sweets? A little. And how about a little milk? Is it okay? Yeah. Very soft. Please take a little shot. You friend right?
Yes.
You also come to the conference?
Yes.
Is it a like a computer thing?
It's like
Aerospace. Wow. You're sending rockets up? Rocket science? Because we have to say, you know, it's not rocket science, but you can say yeah. How about a little sweet?
Sure.
And a little milk? You're also from Orlando?
I'm from ISKCON.
Oh, very.
Is that east side?
That is central. Sure.
Oh, central.
Thank you.
Education. How about you? Thomas?
I didn't know.
Sajid?
Yeah.
You're going first. I'm 42.
Not really. I will.
You're quite cool. No, 40. Look, how about you?
I don't use it.
You don't use? Is it okay? Sorry, but. You want something?
Yeah, of course.
Come out in front. And that's where you get served.
That's why I tried.
So you are also coming?
Yeah.
That's the only reason you come.
Yeah.
You both stood together?
Everything else will be
Came
there.
with me?
Yeah.
We came to the same
But,
conference.
no,
I am from Orlando.
no,
Orlando?
that's it.
That's it, bro.
Orlando, you have a center, right?
No,
It's
no,
serving you for
Right.
years, you spend a little bit less.
I hear. Okay, you're going
It's
to
okay.
cottage,
Yeah.
you should
A
have.
little hat.
I think You picked up.
Little.
Yes, correct.
Just
Due
little.
to